Cam Battley, what
James
are you doing
West.
here?
Hi.
You know, it's so funny that you're here right now.
Tell me why is it so funny?
I just bought $10,000 worth of your stock. You know why I just upped my position by another $10,000?
Please, tell me.
Because you reminded me that I'm actually going to get a share and a warrant of Australis if I'm a shareholder of record on the date of record that is not yet announced, but you're comfortable in telling me that
Subject to the ratio that we have yet to determine and will announce. But yes,
anyways, there's a gift there.
There is a gift. Yeah, it really truly is a gift. It's a gift to our shareholders, and we're giving them something of significant value that we hope to turn into an awful lot more value in a very short period of time.
Right. There's been some incredible developments in the cannabis space in the last 24 hours.
Yes.
So let's tackle that first, and then we're going to tackle it in the context of what that means for Aurora.
Yeah.
Constellation Brands just agreed to invest $4 billion US
with a B,
5 billion Canadian into Canopy Growth Corp.
Yes.
Effectively taking control of the company, but without replacing management.
Right. Takes them to 38%, I think, but with warrants, they have the option to acquire majority control of Canopy, if I'm correct about that. And congratulations to Bruce and Canopy for that. That's a very exciting development.
You bet. It gives them a $25 billion valuation because the purchase price was essentially a 37% premium to the closing price of the last 20 days, which was remarkable, not just for Canopy, not just for Constellation, but for the entire industry. All the boats were lifted by this tidal event.
Well, it's not just about the boats being lifted. I mean, obviously that's nice because the sector's been kind of soft through the summer, so it's nice that everybody's gotten green based on this big pull from Constellation. But more importantly, it's validation, and we keep using that word, but the validation is that this is indeed going to be a big, grown-up, powerful, and wealthy industry on a global basis. And let's emphasize, Constellation is not putting billions with a B into a cannabis company based on the Canadian market.
Right.
And this is what you and I have been talking about for some time, that everybody's excited about consumer legalization, as we should be. It's a big deal in Canada, but it's just the start, and the real story is much, much bigger. But it's also validation that who are going to be the global leaders. And this is something else that you and I have been talking about for some time. The leading Canadian companies are going to be the global leaders. We have built up an expertise, a capacity, plus the capitalization to be able to take this worldwide. And so this is just the first of what I suspect will be a number of very positive developments. There are going to be a lot of catalysts coming our way shortly.
Yeah. So the big question that everybody out there who's watching this wants me to ask you
am I going to be able to answer it?
Well, this is the thing. There's no doubt there's an answer. Is it the answer that everybody wants? We shall see. But where is Aurora's giant $5 billion transaction on the timeline in the future, and with what kind of an entity? So everybody's thinking that Aurora is the next logical partner for a major brand in adult consumables, whether it's in the pharma side, whether it's in the alcohol side, the tobacco side. There are so many different areas where people are, sharpening their pencils and figuring out how do we get exposure to this nascent industry that is transforming economies, not just individuals. So what would you say to that?
First of all, it's a very logical question. We have the second largest market cap. We probably have the largest international footprint, certainly in Europe. So it's a very logical question to ask. I'm going to choose my words carefully, as I've done in the past when asked questions like this, because first of all, they're hypothetical, second of all, they're forward-looking, and third, I don't think you should be talking about business development until it's fully baked. The other way can get people into serious troubles and companies into serious troubles. And
Elon Musk, as an example?
Without further comment, and not wanting to throw shade on anybody. And actually, that's an individual for whom I have a great deal of admiration in some ways. But it is safe to say, repeating what I've said before, that we have talked to absolutely everybody who's interested in this space. So some of it is technologies and companies that we might be interested in. Others would be prospective or potential partners who are approaching us based on our presence, our footprint, our technology, and our expertise. And we spend a very great deal of our time every week having those conversations. That's about what I can say now safely without ending up incarcerated, which
Right.
is something I do like avoiding.
Okay, so let's continue the hypothetical discussion
Oh,
before
sure,
we go
great.
into
I
the
love those.
actual. But so is the adult beverage space a place that Aurora has ambitions?
Huge. Absolutely. It's an extremely attractive market segment.
Right.
And you need a few things. You have to have the emulsification technology to create a stable in solution cannabis product. You want that technology, that formulation technology, to deliver rapid onset of action so that you don't have the typical delayed onset of action associated with the ingestion of cannabis products.
Right.
And you also want that formulated to have a shorter duration of action so that you're not making a 6 to 10 hour commitment to being intoxicated, which is a hell of a commitment.
Right.
So you have to have that in place. You've got to have the capacity to produce your raw material at low cost. And this is one of the elements that not everybody in this space is going to be able to deliver, is to produce a large amount of cannabis economically. And we've even seen some struggles by some of the larger producers to be able to produce cannabis economically. And no matter what you plan to do with the value-added products, you still have to be able to access, one way or another, whether you produce it yourself or find other people to produce it for you, you've got to be able to access that raw material economically.
Sure.
And that's one of the areas where I think Aurora has distinguished itself and continues to, and we'll be doing even more of that with the Sky Class facilities.
Right. I wanted to reflect on a moment because our next guest in this segment is going to be James Burns, the CEO of Alcanna.
Yes.
And I
Very strong executive.
was shocked to learn that you're actually one of the largest shareholders of the company at
shocked?
25. Well, I was, because you mentioned that you made an investment. And
Yeah.
But then through the interview with James, we're going to hear how he's actually already got 245 stores in prime locations across Western Canada. He's obviously looking at the opportunity on Ontario. He's the largest private vendor of alcohol in Canada.
In Canada.
Right now.
And we own a quarter of them.
Exactly.
And that is an excellent partnership.
But then he told me he's changing the name of his stores in some cases to Aurora stores.
Yes, that's our exclusive arrangement with them, is that we're together as partners. We're going to be opening up Aurora branded and Alcanna operated private cannabis retail stores wherever provincial regulations allow it. And the nice thing about working with Alcanna is they're so good at this. And they have the experience that we don't have. That's what makes it complementary, that partnership. So they have all of the knowledge, all of the relationships, for example, with the major landlords.
Right.
And they were moving actually together with us immediately after the Ontario election, when it was clear that there was a change in government coming, and they've already scoped out locations, a very large number of locations across Ontario. They've already had discussions with respect to leases. I can't be more specific than that, but
Sure.
I think we'll have something to say fairly soon. And also they've got the expertise and the capitalization to move very, very rapidly. So together, once the framework is clear in Ontario, we're going to be able to move in, assuming that the framework allows for it, we're going to be able to move in and establish very, very good stores in very, very good locations, and do so in a way that gives the government confidence. And that's critically important too, that the provincial government and also the municipal governments have confidence that we're going to do this right in a responsible way. And nobody in Canada has more experience, and nobody's better at managing the sales of a controlled substance than Alcanna, who've been doing it for 25 years. So if you want confidence, if you want a true retail partner, if you want to know that it's going to be able to be done right, it's Alcanna plus Aurora.
Interesting. So that led me to more research on what the company's doing, because we also had Jason Zandberg here yesterday, who enlightened me.
The analyst.
Yes, the analyst from PI Financial, who was very staunchly defending and very compelling in his thesis of why he sees Aurora at $13 a share in no specific timeline per se, but he looks at the company as very much a buying opportunity. He convinced me. I just bought 10,000 shares. So, and I did so because
thank you for being an Aurora shareholder.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure, believe me. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. The scope of and the range of things that are actually already in place and under development and have already established their own momentum in, across the universe, EU GMP facilities in Denmark, Germany, Australia, South America, Latin America, and then Canvas RX Malta. I mean, these are all, I mean, the problem I find with Aurora is that it's so hard to see the totality of it because there's such an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the assets that no matter who you are in the investment space, there's almost nobody who actually grasps it all and can articulate it in less than, a day.
So I love to use that term because that's how I often characterize it myself at Aurora. It's an embarrassment of riches. And one of the exciting things, but as you say, one of the challenges is to communicate just how much we have going on, from the deep science of Anandia to the retail partnership with Alcanna and our distribution arrangements in Europe and with Shoppers Drug Mart and with provinces, to so many other things, to our strategic investments in 10 plus companies and the 10 acquisitions that we've completed in the last 2 years. It's a very big, very rich story, but that's exactly where we want to be at this point. We set out very purposefully to establish this fully integrated company. And there are multiple advantages to that. First of all, we're vertically integrated, and that's extremely useful because we get to capture value through the chain. We're also horizontally integrated into technologies that will be useful to us over time and to our additional partners. But then the other thing, of course, is that we've been able to acquire, and this will circle back to our US strategy through Australis as well. We've been able to acquire assets at relatively low valuations. So we buy something today, it's worth more tomorrow and then next week and next year. And we don't have to make decisions immediately as to which of these assets will be core. Some of these things in the future will be spun off, will be sold off at higher valuations. But we don't need to make those decisions right now, and that's a very comfortable place to be. I like the optionality of it.
Optionality, that's interesting. I happened to catch Bruce Linton's conversation this morning, and he focuses on the optionality that they're attempting to build. To see that you've actually accomplished that in large degree with this range of assets is, it makes me comfortable as a shareholder. What can I say? And by way of disclosure, if you're just tuning in, I am a shareholder of Aurora, so I am conflicted. Now,
Don't be conflicted, be happy.
Well, I mean, I'm not conflicted. The perception is one of conflict. But anyways, let's quickly run through this list, Cam. I know you've got another meeting to go to. Denmark, Aurora Nordic. Tell me about what's happening there.
Plants, Denmark.
Plants?
Yes.
Mothers, fathers.
Yes.
No fathers. Fathers not welcome.
No, it's ladies only.
Ladies only.
Yes, so that we don't have any seeds, just to be clear. That's why we only use female plants.
Right.
But yes, we've shipped our first plants over to Denmark, where we have 2 facilities that we're developing. The first one, of course, is a retrofitted greenhouse so that we can hit the ground running. That's only 100,000 square feet, only 100,000 square feet. And then beyond that, of course, we're building Aurora Nordic, which is one of our Sky class facilities. It's a 1 million square foot closed system with the glass roof, so slightly larger than Aurora Sky at Edmonton International Airport, and a little bit smaller than Aurora Sun in Medicine Hat. So that is a location, a country, a partnership that we're very, very excited about because it allows us to supply not just Denmark, but Scandinavia, and also any excess can go to the EU, of which Denmark, of course, is a member. And that's a great place to do business. Denmark is an incredibly good place to do business.
Awesome. Germany.
Germany, yeah. So Germany, obviously, we love. We're selling a ton of product there right now through our wholly owned subsidiary, previously known as Pedanios, and now known as Aurora Deutschland.
Aurora Deutschland.
Which is German for Germany.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So are you...
And through them, also in Italy and Malta, and soon a whole host of other EU countries.
Are you, in fact, the largest distributor of medical cannabis in Germany?
We believe we are, yeah. Clearly, Pedanios has been operating for some time, and they also distribute product not just from us, but also from Bedrocan BV in the Netherlands. And soon we'll be adding additional producers as well, we anticipate.
Excellent.
And there's more than that because we have additional channels into Europe as well.
Right. So last I heard, Germany had about 20,000 registered patients using medical cannabis. They've got a population of almost 80 million.
82, 83 million, yeah.
82, 83
Yeah, so
million.
about 2.5 times the population of Canada. And that system is growing fast. It will grow faster than Canada's has. Remember, Canada already has well over 300,000 patients in the medical cannabis system.
Right.
It will grow faster in Germany, mark my words, because most patients are getting insurance reimbursement. And can
Sure.
you imagine how rapidly the Canadian system would have expanded if it had been reimbursed?
What is the catalyst that's going to see wider and rapid adoption in Germany?
Availability of product.
Is that really
It
the
really
myth?
is. It really is.
Oh, okay.
Can I tell you how often I hear from our people managing Aurora Deutschland, who are the partners behind Pedanios, please ship us more product, just more product, more product, more product. And for now, it's just dried cannabis.
Okay.
And very shortly, we're going to have approval to sell our cannabis oils, so our value-added products. And then after that, our capsules. So we're working on all of that and increasing dramatically our sales in Germany. And that becomes easier now that we have a couple of things in place. One, we've received our license to sell out of our Aurora V facility, which in capacity is only a little bit smaller than our first facility, Aurora Mountain. And also, we're going to be, we hope, touch wood, very, very shortly announcing that we have our sales license from Health Canada for Aurora Sky, where we've already had harvest, and now we have product that is stockpiling, and it will be ready to go. So we're going to be able to pivot increasingly to Europe, where we get a premium price on our dried cannabis, and we will get a premium price on our value-added products as well. This is a very, very exciting time. This fall is going to be wicked busy.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, and finally, let's talk about Australia and South Africa down there in that lower corner of the world.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
you go at 22% of the largest cannabis grower in Australia?
Yeah.
And that's going to translate into what kind of market share of that entire market? What's the size of the market in Australia?
So it's fairly small right now. They really need to kick that market into high gear, but there's pressure building to move in that direction. But it's a reasonably well capitalized market. If you compare it to the rest of the world, it's really only the second market after Canada where they have publicly listed companies. So you've got some fairly large ones like our partners, Can Group, of which we own 22.9%, and AusCan, which of course is Canopy's partner down there, and then a few others. And we also have another channel into Australia, and that comes via our acquisition of MedRelief. And this is MedRelief Australia, which is a private company that has multiple licenses, and that is also a very promising asset down there.
Sure. Okay.
But we also skipped one. One of the things that I think is really important, and that is that MedRelief, our MedRelief facility in Markham, Ontario, actually received its EU GMP certification, its Good Manufacturing Practices certification from the European Union. So that allows us, once again, through a new channel, to ship additional product into Europe, and Europe's going to be a fantastic market.
Sure. Okay. So this would explain why your the quantity of short position against Aurora has halved in the last reporting period.
It's come way down,
and is now at just less than 7% of the float, which
and that's significantly lower than some other producers.
yeah. There's going to be a lot of short covering coming up for short strategists, don't you think, in this space?
I do think so.
Yeah.
I do think so. If last year is any guide, what we're likely to see this fall is perhaps something like what we saw last year, which is a kind of a run-up in the cannabis stocks in the whole sector in the fall. And of course, there are multiple catalysts driving us in that direction.
Right. All right, Cam, we're going to leave it there for now. We're going to come back to you in due course. Thank you once again for your participation.
Always a pleasure, James.